It's an unfortunate term, but we have been punked on a spectacular level. And why is that? Well, because the only people who can get over on you are people that you trust. We trusted them. Well, we see now that our trust was completely misplaced, but I am sure we will win. But we need everybody to understand the battle plan, their battle plan. Our battle plan is simple. We take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Instead, we expose them, and once light hits those dark areas, they just disintegrate.
Hey guys, John B. Wells and I recorded this one the day before the Patsy bomber was named. And at first I thought we'd need to redo our interview, but after listening to it, I wouldn't change a thing. John, as usual, is directly over the target regardless of who they pin this deep state operation on. And with that said, before we begin, this interview is brought to you in part by SafeBolt, the encrypted email and cloud system. As many of you already know, if you use free email platforms like Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail, you're basically selling your personal life to the highest bidder. Enter SafeBolt, the encryption email platform that keeps your communications secure. SafeBolt makes it easy to encrypt your communications and files, and they offer an array of cloud-based services to help you keep your important data private. And with SafeBolt encrypted email, you can even send larger attachments up to 1 gigabyte, something you definitely can't do with Gmail. And here's the best part. Click the link below and you can get it all starting as low as $4.99 per month and get the satisfaction of knowing your private communications will stay private and encrypted for good. Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in. I am so thrilled to have back on the line John B. Wells. You know him very well, and in fact, our last call called Are You Ready to See Arrests? Really touched some nerves. You know his website, Caravan to Midnight, his excellent show. You can also catch it for free on Saturday nights, Arc Midnight. John B. Wells is back, and I'm so glad. John, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me back on, Sean.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you back on because, look, as we're having this conversation, we know what happened this past Thursday, and I think it's absolutely remarkable. I called it the October surprise, but honestly, can you even imagine? I did a video called October Surprise, and then the next day I wondered, where's my sense of humor, John? I should have made fun of the whole thing because those should not have been pipe bombs or prop bombs sent to those people. They should have been indictments. But I guess the good news is now at least Jeff Sessions has the addresses he needs to find these criminals. And the criminals are the Clintons, the Obamas, Maxine Waters, John Brennan, George Soros, Eric Holder, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Can you even believe it, John, that they're trying to pull this?
Yeah, actually I can. And you know what's so obvious is that there's a reason that Brendy is my wife. She's a brilliant, brilliant analyst. And I put it in simple Texas terms. I just said, you know what? This is some Bravo Sierra, my queen. She goes, you know, the proof that this was the left doing this is the fact that none of them went off.
That's right.
I mean, seriously, and De Niro's got his own, and pipe bombs. I mean, I see the fingerprints of Bill Ayers or one of his disciples all over this. And then you got Soros out there talking about, well, it's the hate and division that is consuming us. Look, folks, don't get soft. The time to make friends with the bully is after you've stomped a mud hole in him because he wanted it. He just stayed on it and stayed on it and stayed on it until finally you had to do something. So be friends after his backside whipping. Don't get weak now. Press these people until they are absolutely distraught by the intensity with which we have revealed their wrongdoing. I got something for your listeners. I've got it for the whole world, but you've got a lot of listeners, Sean. And again, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to just pass along this little piece of information. There's a man who's formerly with the RCMP, FBI, money laundering, a very, very serious cat. You may know him. His name is Bill Miker. He's based in Hong Kong. What he put on the canvas. He put so many dots on the canvas that somebody with a 40 IQ could connect those dots and get the identical picture that anybody that's got a 240 IQ would get. And that is, we have been owned by the Chinese for decades. It's posted for free on the website. Just caravantomidnight.com. Listen to the 2 hours. This man is going to reveal everything to you. You will understand all these little things, these little ghostly thoughts and possibilities and suspicions that you've had in your mind. Well, they're going to be confirmed. in no uncertain terms. It was a brilliant presentation. I just stayed out of his way and just let him talk. I mean, every once in a while I'd let him know I was still there, but other than that, I just wanted to hear him talk. It's on YouTube as well. I want as many people as possible to see this before midterm elections. Now, your audience is probably going to go help to make this the red wave a reality. But for those who are on the fence, once you watch this, you won't be on the fence anymore. We have been, it's an unfortunate term, but we have been punked on a spectacular level. And why is that? Well, because the only people who can get over on you are people that you trust. We trusted them. Well, we see now that our trust was completely misplaced, and all these PayPal accounts coming down. And so now it's, they're going to play nice. The left is going to play nice. And they continue to take people's PayPal accounts down. I understand Ole Damagard has suffered. Jones, of course, he was, he's the doo-doo magnet. He really is. And in that way, I think he provides a pretty good service. And I believe about 85% of what InfoWars comes up with, but the other 15%, I'm total, my jury's out on that, and it remains out on that. But the point is, however, every child brings his own bread, is written in Scripture. Everybody has brought something to this fight. And I'll tell you what, I am more encouraged now than ever before, and I was never discouraged. I knew it would be a long slog, but I am sure we will win. But we need everybody to understand the battle plan, their battle plan, because we know what our battle plan is. Our battle plan is simple. We take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Instead, we expose them, and once light hits those dark areas, they just disintegrate.
Well, that's right.
We're going to stay on it,
Well, that's absolutely right. And the point is, as we started this show talking about what I believe are prop bombs, I believe it was a false flag. I don't know it for sure. Certainly, it could be some FBI-handled patsy responsible, or that this will be pinned on. But the point of those people being sent those prop bombs is to create some sort of empathy or sympathy for the very bad guys who are hell-bent on destroying our republic. And as your recent guest, Bill Micher, said, the bad guys have all the money and no rules. The good guys have all of the rules and no money. Isn't that just the truth, right? We have to follow the rules. They break the law. They circumvent the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Soros has his army marching on the country down there, the caravan. And meanwhile, the very same people that should be getting indictments and jailed for their crimes are the people that CNN is trying to prop up and garner sympathy for. It's just beyond the pale. I guess the good news is, John, you, as somebody with one heck of a giant platform, are doing something good for one of the patriots that have been targeted by these very same traitors. And that man is General Flynn. Do you want to tell us about Operation Classified, the conference?
I would love to. The treatment of General Flynn, really, it ticked me off on a spectacular level. And I thought, we've been talking about the possibility of doing a conference. I think we have our reason to do a conference, not to aggrandize Caravan, not to aggrandize me. Let's get some payback for what these mugs did to General Flynn. He came on Caravan to Midnight. He spent quite a long time with us. And it was on our program that he revealed he was in a Senate hearing, a committee hearing, for 4.5 hours discussing Benghazi. And when that meeting was finished, I suspect people were tearing their hair, rending their garments, and gnashing their teeth, thinking and speaking these words: we got to get rid of this guy. We're going to wind up in jail or worse. If he remains as national security advisor, this is going to be bad. So they pushed him out of the way. They bankrupted him. The man has lost his house, but he's a solid man. He's not whining. I picked up the phone the other day. Hello, John, this is Mike Flynn. That's the kind of a guy he is. He doesn't say, this is Lieutenant General Michael T. Flynn. Hey, John, it's Mike Flynn. That's just the kind of man he is. He's had our back collectively for a long time. So we put this conference together. And I got to tell you, we have some spectacular deals for some people who cannot make it to the conference. Of course, look, it would be such a statement. Every patriot, every ride your Harley, ride your go-kart, ride your skateboard, whatever it takes. But if you can get to Dallas on the 9th, 10th, and 11th of November, you're going to be in for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I can't say who's going to show up, but there are going to be some people show up. You're going to want to meet them. You're going to want to be a part of this. But we also have a live stream set up as well. And that information is over at operationclassified.com. Now get this, we can't post anything about Operation Classified on Facebook. Just got an email from a caravaner in Norway who said, John, our phones, our smartphones, even some of our dumb phones, our computers, it's all hacked. We cannot follow your program now. It's the government leaning on us. They're leaning on us, they're hacking us, and they're censoring you. Folks, gloves are off. This is real. It's no longer a matter of, do you think they're really doing something? Yes, and they have been doing it, and they're being caught out in it, and we must keep this pressure on. So,
people can also find that link to Operation Classified, the conference there, on your website, caravantomidnight.com. I know you're running some specials. The point is, though, is that this conference is to raise money for the general, for the patriot who is targeted by these deep state demons. And I just want to be real clear. When we started this conversation about the prop bombs and CNN now continuing to point all day long at the Trump targets, they keep making the point, Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper, that these same people are the same people that Trump has been targeting and calling out. Well, yeah, that's because they're hardcore criminals. The Clintons, the Obamas, George Soros. The point here, though, John, is that we are peaceful. Look at the Trump rallies. There's not a person in those rallies that would ever dream of sending a pipe bomb to somebody. We don't want to maim them. We want them incarcerated at Gitmo.
That's exactly what we want. And more to the point, that is going to happen in the next few weeks and months. You're going to see, I am convinced you're going to see massive numbers of arrests. These people are guilty of some very serious crimes. And look, Sean, we either live under the rule of law or we don't. We either have the rule of law or we don't. We cannot let these people slide. They've slid long enough. They're all covering each other. The bankers, the people in Congress, the people in the security services, the FBI, all these people, so many people have been compromised. They all got sucked into this jackpot. And see, once those hooks got into those people, they might have been pretty good people at one point, but they have been not only seduced by the power, but also they've got a gun to their head now because one twitch, they're going to get ratted out. Some of them are going to wind up like Seth Rich and Vince Foster and others. It's all a quest for global dominance. That's what they want. It's not just about controlling the United States of America. It's about global dominance. And who's the muscle? The Chinese. That's why Hillary Clinton had that server with no firewall at all, private state business being done on this server. She wants to call it a private email account. No, it's a private server. She left it wide open like that so the Chinese could have full access to it. The same reason as why Dianne Feinstein would have a Chinese spy driving her around in her car for 20 years while her husband made millions. Look, the Chinese own us at this moment. The good news is not for long. It's beautiful.
You know, when you say some of these people are going to end up like Seth Rich, I just want to flush that out and be real clear. Seth Rich, we believe, was murdered by these people because he was the DNC leaker, right? We know it because of what Kim.com has said that he knows about Seth Rich providing information to WikiLeaks. Julian Assange has basically said as much. And if some of these people end up like Seth Rich, it's because they turned on each other. It's not because anybody in our movement would dream of hurting these people. Again, we just want them tried for their crimes. We just want to see justice. And I made the point in my video, October Surprise. If you were in a football game and you were winning 48-0, would you need to cheat? We're absolutely crushing these people in the town square and in the field of ideas. We don't need to cheat. So they're cheating. They're using their broken, discredited mainstream media to try to garner sympathy and empathy for themselves. It's so transparent, John. I've just never seen anything like it. Liz Crokin was right. She tweeted out the other day when this happened with these pipe bombs. It's pathetic.
It is pathetic. It's absolutely extraordinary. But here's the thing. Their plan was very well put together. It was really just bulletproof. It was Teflon coated. However, with the advent of the presidency of Donald Trump, now what? We've got to get rid of him. Like that idiot Maxine Waters with the impeach him, impeach him, impeach him. She makes me sick. That whole bunch of that snarling little animal of a Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Look, it's one thing to just criticize people's physical appearance, but seriously, the brain behind the appearance is what concerns me the most. These are vicious, These people will not only steal, and they do, but you know, Sean, anybody who will steal and make a living at it will also kill, and they do. They don't care about people. They have no empathy whatsoever. The basic components that make up a normal human being, they don't have these parts, apparently. So they either really are on their knees worshiping Satan, or they're so perverted, so twisted, and so distorted in their thinking after years of indoctrination that they might as well be on their knees, you know, kissing the devil beneath his tail and all of that stuff. These people are all into that. Normal people cannot relate to such a proposition. Well, these people that we're talking about are not normal. They are vicious. They will throw you in the weeds quicker than they would relieve their bladders. And I mean it. That may be a little strong for some, but I'm serious.
No, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
Well, and they visit covens. They visit witches' covens. Literally, Hillary Clinton has visited these covens, and the coven then tweets about it. And Dianne Feinstein has visited these witch covens, and it really is spiritual warfare. And I think at the end of the day, you and I have talked about this and others. That is what this is. Our enemies don't follow the rules, and they have all the money. Meanwhile, we follow the rules, and they punish us for it. So it really is, I think, at this point, a civil war, a planetary civil war, and it's a battle between good and evil. Let me ask you this. If you were President Trump and you saw this mob, quote unquote, caravan marching toward our border, and you realize, like you and I do, that it's NGO-backed and Soros-sponsored to some large degree, these people are not getting here just by walking, and they're being fed, and they're given water, and they're given money. And if you saw this mob marching on our country and you were the president, what would you do, John? I think he's got his hands tied, but what would you suggest?
Well, the first thing I do is federalize the National Guard, give them ammunition. The next thing that I would do is deploy along the border in key places, particularly where the high concentrations of people are. That active denial system, I'd set up some loudspeakers and have some Spanish speakers telling them, do not cross. Do not cross. And if they do, they get hit with that heat and they go back. Now, what's going to happen is back where they came from. We must remember, not everybody got the idea on the same day. Hey, let's go to America. Let's just do ourselves a 1,000+ mile trek and go to the United States and get a better life. 3%, I estimate, are women and children. The rest are fighting age young men. They are coming to destroy the country. Look, I know that sounds wild. I don't want to be the one to say something like that, but I am saying it. They're coming to destroy the country. They're not coming here for a better life. They're coming to take your better life away from you. This is a soft invasion. Soros is behind it. The UN is behind it. The UN, oh, look, when you listen to this thing that we put on YouTube and we got it on the Caravan homepage, this Bill Miker, you're going to understand exactly why this is happening, who's orchestrating it, and why. But that's what I would do. Federalize the National Guard, give them ammo, and tell them that if they get past the active denial system and they come for you, take them out.
The only role of government, the only role, is to protect the liberties of the citizens. And I know that President Trump wants to do that, but these Democrats have his hands tied because of these terrible immigration laws. And apparently, if this mob can get across the border and they say, we want amnesty, then they can be provided amnesty. But you'll notice they're marching carrying Guatemalan flags. So if they hate their country so much, why are they carrying the banner of their country, the country they're supposedly fleeing? The whole thing is an absolute sham, and the destruction of this country will be brought upon us by the liberal Democrats and the George Soros-loving traitors, if they're allowed to get away with it. But the American people have spoken. Look at the Trump rallies. The left is bankrupt, John. They have nothing left to sell the people other than false flags and fear.
Cut the money off to the countries from which these people are coming. Look, I know this sounds rough. It's like you're mean. You just want to be mean to people. It's like, no, I don't. What I don't want is I don't want my family members butchered by MS-13. I don't want my tax money to go to pay for people who came here without asking. I don't want them voting. I think that every vote cast by a non-citizen should be discarded, however long it takes. I believe that we're going to prevail in these midterm elections, but if we did not, than I think we would if all of the illegally cast ballots were removed from the tally. That would show everybody exactly the weakness of the left. They are weak. They have no ideas. And the Democrat Party, as we've known it, is gone. It's gone. They might as well call themselves either the Communist Party or the anarcho-communists, the social democrat. What does that mean? It means nothing. Social democrats. It's just stupid. But remember this. We look at the machinery of government and we think, wow, why are the immigration laws so screwed up? Our broken immigration system, why is it broken? It's not broken through incompetence. It's broken by design. Everything that is not functioning properly where governance is concerned is not functioning because they don't want it to function. Look, this goes all the way back to Charles Dickens when he wrote this long monograph on the Office of Circumlocution that appears in his book, Little Dorrit. The object is to keep somebody in power that will not get it done. The moment somebody comes on the scene who will get it done, get things done, we have to get rid of him because the object is to just perpetuate the status quo and don't get any of these things done. They make great talking points. It's a great talking point today. It'll be a great talking point tomorrow. But we don't want to actually do it because, well, then what? And then go to Ayn Rand. There's no money in a well-ordered, law-abiding society. No money at all. What they're going to take down a how many billion-dollar law enforcement apparatus to stop the dope from coming in so that Timmy and Jackie and Johnny and Stevie won't do no dope? Those kids are going to have to make the decision themselves. Don't take that stuff. You're making scumbags rich doing this. You'll get arrested, all right. Your life will be messed up if you get caught with the product that you purchased from these people. But the people who are selling it to you, their operation's not going to skip a beat. Yeah, it is cynical, but it's also reality.
Yeah. Well, so are the for-profit prisons. And I hope we do see prison reform in this country because it's an absolute blight on Americans that I believe the statistics are that the United States has 1/3 the population of China and yet twice the number of inmates. It's absolutely out of control and it needs to be changed. Well, why don't we do this?
You know what happened with that was when they privatized the prisons. There's big money in that.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. And
you're threatening somebody's livelihood with this kind of talk, Sean.
No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the war on drugs is an absolute joke, especially for those of us who understand what the Bush CIA was doing, running drugs through Mena, Arkansas. You know,
that's not some myth. That really happened.
Yeah,
the Contras didn't have enough money to buy the guns they needed to fight the Sandinistas, so they traded cocaine for it. They had all this powder. What are we going to do with all this bulk? Well, they used to call it freebasing, but it became crack cocaine. How are we going to get rid of it? Dump it right in the middle of South Central, baby.
Yeah, when Bill was governor. Yeah, and Gary Webb lost his life for reporting the truth about what was going on down there.
Yes.
So real journalists often pay the ultimate price. Meanwhile, Anderson Cooper spews lies to the American people ad nauseum, and he gets paid $12 million a year, John. So I guess that's called American journalism. $12 million a year corporate journalism.
Yeah, he's ex-CIA too, right?
Yeah, I believe he did a 6-month stint, or a 6-week stint, something like that in college with the CIA.
They say. There's no telling he could be active CIA asset or officer right now. We wouldn't know it.
I think so. I think that whole network is nothing more than CIA. It's deep state talking points. If you ever want to know what the deep state thinks, you just watch CNN for 10 minutes.
Well, Ted Turner married Jane Fonda. Well, what is that? What does that inform us as to the nature of the mindset of Ted Turner?
Yeah, not much of a patriot, I can tell you that. Probably somebody who would love to see the borders wide open, abortion on demand, take your guns. These people do not stand for what we stand for, John. And what do we stand for? The Bill of Rights and the Constitution. What did our president say while he was running? If we don't have borders, we don't have a country.
That's right.
It's very simple.
He's a brilliant man. And he stated he's never taken a drink in his life. And so, look, people will pick on him for his haircut or, they pick on him for whatever. I say leave the man alone. This is not a contest for who's going to be prom king or queen. We need somebody to run this thing. And I have been wanting since time immemorial a presidential candidate, let alone an actual president, who would take it all away and become president, who could not be bought. He's got his own money. He made his own money. He doesn't need the bribes. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need the Columbia Hotel. He doesn't need any of that. He's got his girls. He's a man. He likes women. Okay, big deal. There's only one perfect man ever walked the face of the earth, and it's not Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Perfect man's named Jesus.
Jesus Christ. That's right, my friend. Well, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to make a point because I think what you said is very important. There are a lot of people listening to this that will say, Trump is just the flip side of the same coin. And I made a point in a recent video. If you actually still believe that, you paint with far too wide a brush, because if you even break it down to this simplest thinking, we would all have to agree that the enemies of our president are the Clintons, the Obamas, George Soros, John Brennan, Maxine Waters, Eric Holder, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the Podestas. With the exception of the Podestas, those are all the same people that were quote-unquote targeted with these quote-unquote pipe bombs. And if we agree that those people are our president's enemies, we must also, those of us who are informed, understand that those are the enemies of we the people. So if that's the case, is the enemy of my enemy not my friend? I mean, in the simplest form, Trump is our friend because he's targeted by those very same enemies. So I don't understand people that think that he truly is just playing his role when all he's trying to do is enforce the borders of this country, allow us to continue to have our Second Amendment and our Bill of Rights, make America great again. But what's so wrong with that, John?
There's nothing wrong with it. Look, last Friday, had an author on. He's a Brit who's now living in the United States. He's a citizen, I assume. And he wrote 3 books, according to him, accidentally. He is a hardcore liberal. And he came on the program, and I talked to him. I messed with him a little bit, but, you know, as the conversation went along, Sean, I realized, I began to ask him, I think I asked him more than once, too, what happened to you? What happened to you to make you think this way? Because you're throwing out all these wild accusations about people who voted for Donald Trump are racist or this or that. I said, where do you get that stuff? And then there was the part about, well, mentioning of God, separation of church and state. I said, you know nothing about our Constitution. Just pop off like that. You need to do some more research. You don't know what you're talking about. By the end of it, I realized these are damaged people. Something damaged them. What damaged them the most, I suspect, is a couple of decades of daily indoctrination by their leftist parents. Man wrote a book, I can't call his name right now, There Is No God. He's the world's most notorious atheist, an Englishman.
Is it Richard Dawkins?
No, it's not him. Here, I'll find it real quick.
By the way, I was just going to say, these people that you're referring to, they've been indoctrinated in the schools as well, and they're NPCs. You got to love this NPC meme. They cannot think independently. They cannot think critically. All they do is re-spew the talking points of the leftist agenda. That's all they do, and it's really quite sad.
Shame.
But based on what you've seen, was that?
You know what's really shameful? Democrats who use victimhood as their defining principle.
All right, the world's most notorious atheist, the same thing happened to him. He started off, his name is Antony Flew, Antonyflew, the world's most notorious atheist. He wrote a book called There Is No God. And then he went on to, later in life, change his mind. He crossed out the no in the revised edition that he then published and replaced the no with the letter A. There is a God. What happened to him? Same thing I was asking Patrick Annandale. What happened to you? Well, Antony Flew did not have a loving relationship with his father. He was rejected by his father almost from the moment of his birth. Then, not only does the little boy have to live with this, his father doesn't love him. All you have to do to destroy your son is just tell him you don't love him. And he did. And then to make matters worse, the one thing that made this dismal little town in, I think it was Swindon in England, the only thing that made it worth existing in was the biscuit factory, the cookie factory, and it was closed. What's going to happen to a brilliantly intelligent little boy whose father rejects him, and then on top of that, they closed the cookie factory? He hated God. He was mad at God. Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? I'm just a little boy. These people are damaged. But here's the thing, just because somebody is damaged, you don't let them get over on you. You don't ever give anybody a chance to kill you. If they want a chance to do that, they need to go somewhere else, not us. These people are trying to kill our country. They're trying to kill our nation. We are only one nation under God. We are many colors, many cultures. Well, each of those colors and cultures all constitute a nation. But when Eisenhower added the words under God into the Pledge of Allegiance, he did exactly the right thing, because we are only one nation under God. Otherwise, we're just a whole bunch of little nations all put in one country. And Mr. Trump's entirely correct. No borders, no country. The nation part comes later. That's when we bond and we decide we're all on the same page. We're singing the same hymn. It's all good. We can get along. We will not try to destroy each other. We will work together. That's the difference. So, and there are a lot of damaged people out there. 18% have been diagnosed with or are currently being treated for some form of mental illness. Well, how many of them have not been diagnosed nor are being treated for it? Probably a few more points. So you're looking at possibly a third of the population being a little on the deranged side. They can't help it necessarily. Now, when you consider the numbers of people who vote, it makes a pretty strong case in my mind for many people with some form of mental illness. As Mike Savage said, liberalism is a mental disorder. Well, it is. The only caveat is this is not liberalism. This is payback, anarchistic, communist doctrine. It's not liberal doctrine at all. You are an actual classical liberal. So am I. Small government, accountable, financial accountability, no involvement in foreign wars, no police state, high levels of privacy, high levels of prosperity. Is that the liberal of today? No. They want high taxes, not low taxes. They want division. They don't want unity. It's a mindset. And to answer that question that Obi-Wan Kenobi posed, which was, who's the bigger fool, the fool or the fool that follows him? The answer is, well, they're both fools, but definitely the fool that follows is the bigger fool.
Right.
And that's what you have here. And it's a hell of a thing, Sean, to tell people that. They don't want to hear that.
Right.
But look, anybody who can't say, look, I made a mistake. I'm going the other direction now. I was going the wrong direction. We don't want to destroy them. We want them to change their minds. They're going wrong. But if they won't, then we have to take control. And that's all there is to it.
Well, I think you make a really good point about the atheism too. And the problem here with the left is that they're nihilistic. They're nihilistic. They don't, many of them, don't believe in a higher power. And they do believe in abortion on demand. And so it really is, I believe, a mental illness, because if you don't have any belief in a higher power, boy, it's real easy to see how you can become a hopeless, depressed human who then worships at the altar of big government. And I think at the end of the day, that is the very definition of mental illness. You don't want to have the divine right of liberty and freedom. You want to have big brother government. Hey, can I just share one thing with you? I want to share the very definition of karma. All right, so we've got good people getting hurt by these same deep state criminals that CNN tells us are being targeted by Trump and pipe bombs. And we have bad people targeting Trump, like creepy porn lawyer Avenatti. So Michael Avenatti and Julie Swetnick have been referred to the DOJ for criminal investigation over false flag statements on Brett Kavanaugh. That's good news. That's karma, right? Yep. Bad people getting their comeuppance.
Plus, Avenatti's up to his neck in tax problems too, but go on.
Yeah, and here's the flip side, right? Other karma for good people. General Michael Flynn, who is targeted by the same deep state, is now going to be benefiting from Operation Classified, this conference that you're putting together. And I want people to really support this thing. One way to do that, guys, would be to go over to caravantomidnight.com.
Oh, have we got a deal for you? We really do. Now, here's the thing. Live stream only. It's $125. It's access to the Operation Classified live streaming event, so you won't miss a single minute of the event, and it'll be archived for several months, so you don't have to listen to it all in one dose. That's $125, okay? 1 year subscription to Caravan to Midnight and access to Operation Classified live streaming event, so you won't miss a single minute of the event, $95. Caravan to Midnight members only, access to Operation Classified live streaming event, $28. So if you just want the live stream, that's $125. If you want a 1-year subscription to Caravan and the live stream, that's $95. If you're already a Caravan member, it's only $28 for the live stream. You can't beat this with a stick. Sometimes I wonder. I was talking with Mr. Ghost. That's my son. He produced the show for many years. He's just taking a little bit of a break because, he needs to. We're pushing up. He went to episode 1,000 with Dad. I said, I understand. I'm going to take 2 weeks off myself. But he said, Dad, we would sit there and talk with these people sometimes for 4 hours, or we'd have 2 guests on there, and each of the guests would run over 2 hours. We sat with Hugo Fugan for 7.5 hours because we wanted him to be able to complete totally deconstructing the whole Loretta Fuddy fatality in the plane crash out there in the Hawaiian Islands, and he did. A lot of times people don't think there is as much value in something because the price is just too reasonable. I want everybody who whether you're on a budget or whether you're rolling in money, the object was get the word out and complete the mission. The object wasn't to make so much money I could convert it to nickels, go wallow around in it in the nude in my vault somewhere. That wasn't the idea. The idea is make this affordable for everybody, which is why you can get in a membership by the month for $10 a month. It's the most expensive route, but you can buy 6 months. You can get a whole year at $60 for over 1,000 shows. Is less than 6 cents a piece per show. And I mean, the information is off the charts. We do the work like Sean does and like other people do. We just did a little bit differently. We did not want to be at the mercy of any of these big platforms. That's why we did a membership service. We were 1 strike away from losing our YouTube channel completely. But I told the crew, put this thing with Bill Miker up there, and if they take the channel down, good. Maybe the next thing that we'll organize is a class action lawsuit against these people for restraint of trade. They invited us in. They said, hey, but now you're making up your community rules or whatever on the fly as you go along, and this is politically motivated. I'm thinking this might be worth a class action lawsuit. So just keep begging for it, and that's what they're liable to get.
Well, we'll round this out by reminding people that the Operation Classified Conference is November 9th through the 11th in Dallas, Texas, but you can watch it with live streaming right over there at caravantomidnight.com.
We'd really rather see people in person. I'd like to meet the people, but some people absolutely positively cannot make it. That's why the live stream is there. And look, Sean, thank you so much for bringing me on the program. I'm absolutely over the top with enthusiasm for what is happening in our country right now. This is nothing more than things have come to a head. We see what we're dealing with now. We were in darkness for so long, but we're not anymore. So now that it's been exposed, let's deal with this. Folks, do not fail to vote. You must get out there and vote. Just do it. Don't fall for this "my vote doesn't count" thing. It does. And let's show these mugs who they're messing with.
Yeah, amen. And the best antiseptic is sunlight. Guys, we just got to shine the light of truth on all of their crimes. And that's exactly what we're doing. That's why CNN is losing in the court of public opinion. And they're losing the info war, John, because you're out there, I'm out there, and so many other truth tellers and truth journalists are out there. Our guest has been John B. Wells. His website is Caravan to Midnight. John, thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you for yours.
All
God
right.
bless.
God bless. God bless. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to let you know you guys can find me on BitChute and over at Minds.com, in addition to YouTube and SGTReport.com, the antidote to corporate propaganda 24/7. Thanks so much. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
The cabal, the bad guys, they know that President Trump, the Q team, and the White Hats, they have it all. They have all the evidence that proves that these people have been involved in horrific crimes against children, and treason. Evidence, photographic and video evidence of them directly involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of kids.